Ooh, looks like I forgot to record. All right, I'll record the exercise, so. I don't know who to blame on that one. It's me. All right, let me go get a quick drink. Get started again. All right.
Who's the members?
Did, just reviewing. Same approximate information. I did this, but this was, 4 years ago. Truck plan. Just a look.
It's like I say the book now. That's you still do it. That's why this works for me. If you can catch on like that, I follow. Yeah.
It was very frustrating. And so maybe it's not people.
So you can shit. This game. I was looking at some nice little girl. I'm actually looking at building myself now. I'm assuming Charles. My cousin. It's got a job.
That just, as it was a night, so I just wanted to do it. Not
You know, let me know. Yeah.
it's often birthday.
See your John over there.
But
So did you see Mary Miriam saying he sent an email? But I'm waiting.
he said, you can join online. That's in the announcement.
She said something. She said. It might be tomorrow. This is a friend of mine that put up should be here tomorrow. And
It's like, absolutely.
I just happened to see the announcement. So I looked at the announcement and said, that's what I'm just because that's negative. Well, he also told us that, but that's stupid.
1 to 400. So,
First thing I want to do is I want to make sure everyone can log in. That's my big thing. Okay, so let's get on, and then we can install the software and log into the software and all that other good stuff after that. Now, that's my primary concern. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna log into our online software. First thing we're gonna do is just we're gonna type in arcgis.com, arcgis.com, and you're gonna see something like this. Now, right now I'm recording, so everyone here can see this, because whenever you have another login for the software, for your phone apps, for anything, you're gonna log in using this technique here. Okay, and most of us, I think all of us except for Camille and Emery should already be logged in, right? You logged in, Philip, so you know how to log in and all this other good stuff. And I want to just make sure we've got this for the edification of people joining us online as well. So because we'll install the software in a little bit and all that other good stuff. So I'm going to click sign in. And I got one of two options. I've got an ArcGIS login. This is like stuff that I've created for me. So if this stuff doesn't work, I can give you your own username and password. But what I like to do is sign in using your organization's URL. So click on this button. And we are called DEEGS NCCU, Department of Environmental Earth Geospatial Sciences at NCCU. And if you look at the modules here, I got a lot of tutorials and all that other stuff to link to the software, how to screen record, how to log into the GIS software. So I've got videos sitting right here. In addition, we've got a YouTube page, YouTube DEGS NCCU. And I've got
associate professor in the Department of Environmental Earth Geospatial Science.
And I've got a lot of tutorials on how to log in addition to some of the resources we have for students, some of them, whenever I record data science class, introduction, applied geostatistics, GIS tutorials. I've got tons of, probably about 100 different videos here that, we've got. So DEGS NCCU, continue. What pops up after that? North Carolina Central University. And when you log in, make sure you type in your username using the @ad.nccu.edu. It should tell you to use the .ad, and then all you're going to do is type in your password, and it'll get you logged in. It'll say like, welcome, you're here. And you'll do that for everything else. I've created like a super password for me that I'm admin to everything. But if you forget that, you forget it. That kind of stinks. So I want everyone to do this. So, you're already in. You already got in. I get so weird, I trade emails back and forth to people so many times, like I can't log in. I was like, I don't know, like follow the tricks. You get it, Camille?
After I type in, after I click enter, it's just
Well, when it's signed in and all that, you have to know they do not have a password, a different password for you that equals.
the other.
This, let's try. What kind of computer is this?
So
Oh, okay. Well, this doesn't install on the Mac, the actual software, but
I can log in using people that have my NCC account.
try doing that. See. This.
Session.
And then my magic here on this end of things. Now, are you able to log in, Solomon?
Created an account with SRE and it says, what NCCU firewall filtered it out.
Well, I already signed you up. See, so when I go to Oregon, and this is, you're kind of looking at how everything's made. When I go to members, I can see Kevin. Emery just logged in. Amy, who I work with, Philip is logged in. Solomon, you logged in. Yes, you're logged in. Okay.
Find myself.
Kareem, maybe he's joining us. You logged in too, thanks. There's Kirsten. I know Kirsten. She's Sade, Alondra. There you are. You logged in. Good. Using your AD. Now, sometimes we run into issues here because I see pending members. These are all the people. Are you Severine one?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm going to resend you an invite. So,
But basically,
okay, good. Mary, Elliot, me, a lot of these folks have already signed in here because you can see Alondra, I invited her, David, who's joining us, Wilbert, Cangela, a bunch of other folks that I'm pretty sure I've logged in already because all I do is just take all your email addresses from the page, log you in. Okay. So we're just getting the software going and we're going to be done here in a little bit. So
refreshing to see if
I don't mind refreshing. No. Usually takes a minute here.
Sorry. Basically.
Oh, don't worry about it. We got some leaders in the back here. So.
They made, every student's an active in the whole university. So, not even, they can't get that. Whether to finish work or she grades. Apparently, an email came out, which was still the Rebecca.
We're freaking out.
Well, yeah, most of it was until Wednesday, which is fine, but, so, that's all. And then I got updated to.
What? What about me too?
Saying we post students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So there's a whole meeting, like there's an email chain, like.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You got it? Nice job. Okay. Now, cool. Couple things, now, a couple neat things about this ArcGIS Online. I'm not a super ArcGIS Online person just because I'm still learning about it. But some of the things you can click on it is I can click on map. I can add my own maps right here. So I can click on map. I can add layers. I can browse for layers. So I can start to make these online maps. To me, the online maps don't have as much computational ability and resources as desktop, but you can see, look at this here. I've got a whole bunch of my stuff sitting right here. Like you can see, this is some GPS stuff that I've collected. This is some GPS stuff that I've collected, and it looks like these are all the little GPS points that I collected. These are all the GPS points that I collected the other day, right? Now, what's a little different from this versus this? I just extracted out the points. I just extracted out the points and just changed the colors on those. And I made them their own separate, what we call feature classes. Feature classes are what's stored on hard drives. Feature services are what is stored here. So I can add this. All right, cool. So we can add some GPS. I can add counties. These are all just grave sites. I'm doing some work with cemetery mapping, but I can add data here and I can click on this and save this and do lots of neat things. I can change the symbology on these things here based on fields or whatever, and we're going to play with those. So I can click on this little point right here, and it's going to give me what we call attributes. It's got an altitude, collect it using my iPhone. It's got a vertical accuracy of this. I can click on this little point right here. It was collected using my integrated system location provider. This is all the information about this. So I can go and add data to my actual map as well. I can look at my content. This is all my stuff sitting here. So the reason why I think it's so important that we can sign in using our username and password is so that you can have all of your information sitting in your cloud right here. Because I've got this little thing here called the Instant app, which is like, and this is my little Instant app that I created at my house where I went and GPS using my phone versus the GPS unit. So this is my house right here. I got a little fireplace right here, and I clicked on my little fireplace, and look what I got. Here's my fireplace using the geode. Here's the GPS using my phone unit. You can see my wife is burning one of our honeybee things. That was one of her hobbies, and she doesn't have that hobby anymore. And it's, that's $300 firewood. No, all kidding aside, bees were fun and stuff like that.
I like the beach, to it, smoking it out.
No, yeah, we smoke them to like keep them calm. But she just got, because it's hard to have those bees live over the summer, over the winter. And so she got pretty frustrated with it because last winter they lived. She went over it, but it's just a lot of time and effort. One thing about honey is like, it's amazing. Like, it's really good, but there's just the time and effort for honeybees. And I'm allergic, so if I get stung, I'll like blow up. If I get stung in my throat, my wife will be about $600,000 richer. So she will. So, but you can see these here. So this is an instant app that I have Instant app that I write here. This is all of my stuff right here. And since I'm a admin, I can see all of your stuff there. So I can go check out, see what Alondra's doing or whatever here. But I've got these forms and everything, web mapping applications, solutions, feature layer, web maps. And these grave sites that I'm starting to do right here. But this is a feature layer or feature service right here. So I can click on this feature layer right here. And it's got metadata here. That's pretty cool. What's metadata? Yeah, exactly. Data about data. Alondra's nodding her head, good. So this describes, someone did some really good job with the metadata right here. I can go to data, I can go to usage. Look how many people are using this thing that's connected in our cloud. And as long as you're an NCCU user in our organization, you'd have access to it. But I can go to settings and say, hey, I just want it for this class. So I can go and change it somewhere over here. I can keep track of changes. I can enable syncs, enable the syncs on it, syncing on it. So when but I can change the usage, visualization, overview. I can change the groups on this too, because I just changed this to everyone. So I can just say, hey, only the people taking this class can use it, or only the people in my ECU project can take this as well. So, but these are you can get a whole life of just working with and managing ArcGIS online stuff. And so when I click on this stuff here, when I go to my desktop solution here and I go to my black plus sign, which we will in a minute, in addition to me navigating to the projects that I give you, if you're logged in, you can click on my organization and here's the field map. I don't even know what this thing is I created. Field mapping results, summer. I guess I created something for a survey. That's pretty cool. But hopefully you'll all be able to access this. But this is my GPS stuff that I've created. Here is someone who is creating something for Gullah Geechee corridor. And here's the North Carolina State Plains. This is all just stuff that's sitting in our organization. Like I said before, I can click on my content that I can go and add right here. So these are my points here that I've created that are sitting in my service. This ring a bell right here, these points. Same exact points that we were looking at, except those points that I created in separate circles are things that hey, I know I walk from 332 to 336. This is going to be its own feature class, another feature class, another feature class, so I can take those out. And to me, some of the things that I try to do is get an appreciation for what the actual raw data looks like. Because you all have just seen, this is what the final product looks like. And I think Solomon has a good appreciation for, hey, we're making data from scratch. The data just doesn't pop up and I see counties and points all with people there. And I think a lot of people getting an appreciation for what does the data look like. Now, some of the newbies here, some of the newer people here, like Camille, like, this is great, but hey, I just want to extract this out. And we'll talk about these here in a second. Okay? Because what I've opened this up in is what we call ArcGIS Pro. This is a lot more powerful than the ArcGIS Online. Okay? So I go to my little map right here, and I can add my GPS points. These are just some points that I was collecting here. There's not a lot of stuff that I can do, Yes. So, I can look at the table for it. I can change the base map. I can go to a legend, charts. There's some other geoprocessing things that I can do. I can print these things out. Not a whole lot. And then, I can these as well, tag, labels, pop-ups, aggregations, but these don't line up with our desktop software, which I have been knowing and loving since 1999. So it's a lot different. So what we're going to do on the course modules is that we are going to go to module day 1. For everyone who missed the lecture here, I've got the lecture right here. Those of you joining us online, I didn't start recording until the break because I don't have anyone to blame except for myself. So we'll just, I didn't turn it on then. And then we are going to go to exercise number 1, and we're just going to download this thing. This is what we call a zip file. Does everyone know what a zip file is? It's okay if you don't. Zip file is a file that I've compressed all into one. And so these are all files that are sitting in one particular place right here. And so when I look at it in my downloads, it looks like this. It's zipped because if I were to double click on it, you would see within all of these, I've got probably 24 different files. And I don't want to give you each of the individual files themselves because these are what we call proprietary databases. What's the word proprietary mean? What's that? Someone owns it, exactly. ArcGIS Pro owns it so that we can't open up and manipulate these in Access because there used to be these are called file geodatabases. There used to be something called personal geodatabases, which are basically manipulated access databases that had spatial components added to it. But the challenge about those is that they had 2 gig limits because that's what Microsoft limits their databases at. Now, when we look at this downloads right here, this is a zip file. And then this zip file, we're going to click on the word extract. Okay, so we're going to extract it. Now I'm going to replace it. I've got 91 files sitting there. And I just want to make sure people notice the nuances between these. So now I've got a little folder with the zipper there. You don't click on that after we're done. And now we got the little folder with the exercise in class day number 1. So once we see this, I've got an APRX file. Now Camille won't be able to run it on that computer because now we need the software. Does Emory have the software on there? Okay, good. Solomon, do you have the software? Didn't we install the software on there? Juice, gig, space.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's- it's- Decision.
That's a Mac too? Okay, yeah, you'll have to partition it. And then these computers here sitting in the lab, they all have ArcGIS Pro. ArcGIS Pro, Alondra knows what she's doing. I know Daniel knows what he's doing. So we double click on this APRX file. And if we have the software open, it's going to pop up for us. Cool. What we get is something that looks like this. Now, this APRX file, if you notice it, it's really, really small. It's only 113K. 113K is nothing. Those drone images right now, that each of those drone images that I take of my house, those are about 20 meg. So I'm not in the mood to do math, but what is 20 meg divided by 113K? Is it 20 times the size or 200 times the size? I'm looking at Daniel to do some math for me, please. 20. 20 times more, yes. Yeah, 20, we got to move a decimal point over one. Yep. So it's 20 times more. So you can see this APRX file is about 20 times smaller than just one drone image that I've taken. And then last Friday, when I was flying out my house, I took about 800 in one flight and 500 in another. So imagine like 800 times 20 meg plus 500 times 20 meg. We're getting to real big numbers here. I'm going to need to kind of buy another external hard drive or something. Now, where we have right here, this is the GDB. When we look at the properties, this is where all of our data is sitting there. That's about 50 meg. So I've got all the points, lines, and polygons that compose this map. Because what we're going to start doing tomorrow is we're going to start linking and joining GI tabular data to this. And then after that, we're going to go collect drone data and we're going to collect GPS data. And then you notice this little GPR unit has a GPS unit connected to it. We're going to collect basically like cemetery data that's going to have GPS data connected to it and bring those in. And this is going to be really high precision because something like this, we can only collect like 40 foot by 40 foot because we got to walk along there and it takes a long time. It takes a real long time. Okay. So do we have this thing open? If you guys want to open, you got this one open? Okay. Emery's got it going. I know you guys do. And this is kind of a little bit of a review for you. You got this one going? Oh my gosh, wow.
It's the same luggage.
Yeah. How'd you get it using Field?
I downloaded the app. And I don't know, actually.
Did you want to look? Did it give you this an option for Field Maps?
Yes. Okay, let's go back.
Okay, I'm kind of interested.
Yeah. Let's see. So, let me just go to the top. So I went to do the file, I clicked on this, or the APRX.
Okay.
And then I did search,
Oh,
and I already had the app for each one.
okay.
So I just,
That's like,
I do. I know I just downloaded the application.
okay, let's check that. If you need me to sign in, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay. We're looking at a map right here. What we've got here is properly curated map that typically, these are the maps that I give you in class. You can see I've got major cities in blue, I've got counties, and I've got census tracts. This was extracted from the Food Access Atlas, and then I've got zip codes at the zip code scale. What does zip code stand for? Does anyone remember? ZIPS actually stands for something, so it's an acronym. So it's always capitalized, like ZIP, it's always capitalized. Zone Improvement Plan. So, and we use those typically for mailing. So if we want to, we can right mouse click on zip codes and click on Open Attribute Table. And we can see there's 763 zip codes. This is all the information that I've collected about zip codes. So for each of these zip codes, there's something called total pop underscore CY. What do you think total pop underscore CY means? Population. CY stands for the current year. So I extracted this probably from a couple of years ago. For this thing called LoGAP, it's got a total population of 2,756. I can click on the attribute table and I can see where LoGAP is because I have no idea where it is. And I can see it highlighted in blue right here. We've got that one-to-one relationship. Family population, GC stands for group quarters. So people live in apartments. Population density, white, median household income, COVID rates, median household income, poverty rates. These are just a number of things that I've collected over the years in support of some of the work Dr. McGinn and I were doing. We looked at, the number of Democrats, the number of Republicans, the number of unaffiliated. We have these kind of percentages, metropolitan, micropolitan. We don't focus too much on those there, but number of farmers markets, COVID rates. But what I mapped here was COVID rate in the middle of 2022. Can you see a pattern attached with these COVID rates? Spatial pattern? What's up? Oh, yeah, bless you. Oh, thank you.
Durham and Chapel Hill Valley, the research triangle where the medicine area is lower.
This is extremely low. Now, who made this map, the yellow and the blue, and who made that? Who made this map in these colors? Me. Do you want to make your own map? Yeah, of course you would. Would you want to change these colors? And so, just like we did with the right mouse click, we can right mouse click and click on symbology. And when I have symbology, I have primary symbology for zip codes as colors. What do I want to map this time? Okay, I can map any field that I want that has quantitative data. What's the word quantitative mean? It's got numbers attached to it as opposed to fields. So I might want to attach, hey, median household income. Okay, here's the median household income. I might want to change the colors. Why do you think I like these colors here? I like this yellow green to dark green. Contrast, internal contrast. Philip got an A for the day because he used the words that he remembers from last class. Internal contrast, meaning there's a difference between the lightest and the darkest. Some colors lend to having higher internal contrast. So a lot of greens and purples have internal contrast as opposed to like reds and like black to white or white to gray to black. But typically those are used because it costs a lot less to print out black and white as opposed to colors. These days, we click a button and it's just save to the web. We save this stuff to the web. It creates a unique URL, and so that we're good to go there. But I can create other colors here. So if we're working with temperatures, we can have them, dark to light. This is another set of colors that I like because it takes advantage of two colors. It goes from the yellow to the green to the blue. Now, the method here I have is called quantile. I'm a big quantile person. Quantile basically means it lines them all up and does 763 divided by 5 is equal to, I don't know, 110, 112, 111, something like that. So the first 111 are here, the next 111 are here, the next 111 here. So each color appears the same number of times. Now, what's the problem with that? What's the problem with each color appearing the same number of times? Yeah, on the right track. Yep. What else? What if I look at this histogram right here? What do you see about this histogram? These are the classes right here. They're exactly different frequencies. Kind of like football team. Your football team, where do most teams win? They win between like 7 and 10 wins. You don't have a lot of zeros. You don't have a lot of 15s. So if we were to take the bottom quarter of the NFL, they're like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 win teams, where that the next quarter is like the 7 and 8 win teams. Next quarter is the 8 and 9, and the last quarter is like the 10, 11, 12. So you can see the range of values right here for class 2, 3, and 4 is really, really small, where that the highest class goes from 55,000 all the way up to 149,000. That's a range of almost 100,000, where that the range here is 7,000, 6,000, 6,000. Now, what's better? Or is this the best? Me, I like doing this because each color is represented the same way. And there's a lot of good books in how to lie with maps. Like if you want to do your project next week, you know, hey, make a map like this. Here's a map here called equal interval. This is the same exact data. Now, what do you think equal interval does? Yeah, exactly, equal interval. So we go up to 149,000, 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, 90 to 120, 120. What have you basically made here? You basically made a one-class map. Is this really a map? What's the goal of a map? Spatial differentiation. Can you see where it's high and where it's low? Not really. This isn't a map. This is just, I don't know, something my kids would color. You know, seriously.
So that's misrepresented.
Yeah, or I wouldn't use it now, misleading to what? Yeah. Now, if you want to say, hey, look at how high income this, you know, this zip code here in Wake County is, you got your point across. If you want to show us how low income these areas are down in Scotland County, you're doing your job here. You can see it's in the bottom, you know, bottom whatever percent, 20 or whatever. Yeah. Bottom quarter here. We have some other ones, defined intervals, manual intervals. This one's called natural breaks, which kind of uses some sort of computer algorithm to, you know, figure out the breaks in the data right here, which a little better. Me personally, I'm a big quantile person because each color shows up the same number of times. But we just looked at 3 different maps using the same exact data. And we just spread it differently. And we talk about this in geostatistics a little. Yeah, it's pretty.
So you can manipulate people's opinions by representing the same data with different colors and different frequencies.
You can allow people to be manipulated. Yeah. You know, you can allow them to be. Yeah. Because most people like, hey, here's 4 different maps, but it's showing the same data, median household income, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. And that's, you know, depending upon what you want to do. Me, I'm a big quantile person, but you need to, you know, when you show the legend, hey, look at these legends here as well. So we can right mouse click. So median household income, percent minority, poverty, there's definite relationships between all of these.
So if I was at a meeting and someone put a map up, geospatial representations of the sort, I should ask, are you using quantile distribution?
Yeah, equal interval, yeah.
If they don't say it, I should certainly require access to the.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, And then we can normalize these because these are the number of unaffiliated voters, and we can normalize it by like the number of registered voters here. So now we can start. Oh, this might not be right. Okay. Let's go back to not. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I don't want to sound silly. So percent Republican. No, okay. I'll go back to the demographic stuff here. Okay. Population density. Population density. This is where population density is the highest. Number of people per square mile. So we can make maps out of this right here. Pretty easy to make the maps. And people who've taken our classes before, they have learned how to insert layouts and make high quality maps that can be inserted into PowerPoints, PDFs, all that other good stuff. Because a lot of times we have people who do like screenshots of, oh, that's great, but I want something with a north arrow and a scale bar and a title and all that other good stuff. And the one thing about this application, ArcGIS Pro, versus other applications is the previous version is that the previous one was really good at calculating and creating maps, really good maps. Where that now I can click on a little share button and I can make this a web map, which everyone knows and loves, because the web map isn't going to have it'll have a north arrow, but the scale bar change if you zoom in or zoom out. And if you zoom out, it's going to have to change the projection on the fly versus this one, which doesn't change the projection on the fly. You notice the north edge of the North Carolina is curved a little bit. Is it curved in real life? Let's see. Go into my favorites. Oh, my favorite. Oh, wait. I got rid of all my favorites. No, we're using one called Web Mercator, but here it is. North edge of the North Carolina is curved. Is it curved in real life?
Yes. It's not.
No. Why is it curved here? Yeah, why is it curved here? Yeah, exactly, because this is flat. Where's North Carolina? It's on a globe. It's on a 3D globe. And when we flatten it, there's always going to be distortion. Whenever you wrap up a Christmas or birthday present, what do you have left over? Paper. What do you do with the paper? Cut it, fold it over, no one thinks twice about it. What do we do with it here? We have to account for that discrepancy by compromising the size, azimuth, or direction, or size, area, and direction. So north and south really isn't left, right. It's kind of along that curved line. And now in North Carolina, when we stick this 0, 0 point down here, we can make everything in the first quadrant as well. Now here, when we display these are displayed using longitude and latitude. Why is longitude first? Don't we always say latitude, longitude first? Why is it listed longitude first?
So,
What's that?
so.
On the right track.
Like this one, here.
Mhm. In math class, what was it? YX or XY?
Yeah.
It's XY. What's the X? It's the longitude, right? The left and right, the east and west, and then the north and south. But we love saying latitude and longitude. I don't know why. But we're really saying YX. Yeah, we're really saying YX instead of XY, which it really should be, because this thing is a computer. It loves and knows XY. And so we can measure these things in feet, and then once we get these in feet here, we can go down here to our 0, points here and get these, this is our 0, point right over here somewhere, and using our North Carolina state plane. So now everything's being measured in feet. If I know one coordinate in feet, another coordinate in feet on a flat surface, can you measure the distance between them?
Yes.
Yes. Is that a question? It's, yeah. Using what? Do you remember this from math class? Yeah, that distance formula. That's not even trig yet. That little distance, the square root of x squared plus delta x squared plus delta y squared. Yeah, exactly. Delta x squared plus delta y squared. Yep, exactly. So here we got, we're not going to do too much math here. Don't worry. Don't worry. We got some big fancy calculations in Excel later, and we're not going to. Someone already did them for us. Okay, last thing we'll look at today is we're going to do a couple of queries, because a lot of you might want to say, hey, I want to know where the income is greater than $100,000. We might all want to do that. So we can go to map, and over here we can do select by attributes or select by location, because these have spatial relationships between them. So I can do select by attributes. So if I select by attributes on these, I can do some type. No, I want to get rid of the SQL. What is this doing? Zip codes. What are you doing to me? Oh, zip codes. Zip codes. All right. And this used to use something called SQL, structured query language. Now I can just create a query. I can create a query that says, I want to look where median household income is greater than $100,000. I'm going to click apply. And now down here, look what it has. 10 out of 763. So everything highlighted here, 10 out of 763 have a median household income of greater than $100,000. This is the high, I think this is but this is a little town over here where I live called Oak Ridge, right there. All right, over $100,000. Where's this? Union County. What is this up? Kind of getting up into Lake Norman right there. What do we have over here? Wake County. What is this? Youngsville? Getting up into Youngsville. Now I need to, so I can, let me just for the heck of it, uncheck. What's the name of this one here? 37. Oh. Oh, I'm clicking on the zip codes. Okay. Oh, I know what I can do. I can just click on selected and I can look for all the selected here. I can see Charlotte, Oak Ridge, couple of Carys, Raleigh, Durham, Davidson. Oh, Davidson, North Carolina, Matthews, Waxhaw, and another Charlotte there. So I think that one, there it is. So that looks like North Raleigh right there. And then we got a couple of Carys right there. Cary 1, Cary 2. There we go. This is for just 100,000 plus. So now when we go over to this, we can see right here, this column here, you notice this column here? What's common about this column? They're all more than $100,000. And I can do select by attributes. Hey, instead of $100,000, let me do a less than $25,000. Let me look at the other end there. $14 out of 63. You can see some up here. Over here. What's this county? I don't know even know. That is where Fayetteville is, Cumberland County. We change it to $30,000. So now we got 44. You start to see some of these get teased out here in southeastern North Carolina a little bit. Right? And then kind of the northeast part of the state here. You think there's spatial relationships with all these? Do you think there's spatial relationships with patterns of income, voting patterns, race? They're all spatially related. Definitely all spatially related. So we've got these. I'm going to give everyone a chance, you know, if you want to play with it here, play with it later, whatever you want. But what we're going to do for homework, and you don't have to do it today, is that because what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to bring in tabular data and link these to points, lines, and polygons that we like. And then after that, we are going to go and create our own data and superimpose it on top of this stuff here, which I like doing. You know, I think it's pretty neat here. And so we're going to kind of load up some survey apps, something called Quick Capture. And then, you know, Camille was playing with field maps, but we're not going to do field maps here just because it's just a really built up version of Survey 123 and Survey 123 and the other. Okay. So for homework, and we're just have to do at the end of the week, end of next week, is that we are going to go and take the exercise called GIS Basics. So we're going to go to the training, the Esri training site. You just click on it and you sign in using the same exact credentials that we have. We've got a catalog. We can go to course catalog and we can just type in GIS Basics. And all we're going to do is just take this little web course. You can see I take lots of courses here. I never really complete them. You know, I just go and take them. I do little exercises so I can get hands-on. But we're going to just do the web course called GIS Basics using ArcGIS Pro 3.3. And when you're done with the course, it's going to give you a little certificate. So if you sign in using your NCCU username and password, guess whose name is going to be on the certificate? Your name. And this is just a brief intro to GIS. You know, you notice I take lots and lots of courses. I think last time I looked, I had 48 courses that I was taking, where I just said, hey, I want to do a little metadata. I want to do a little Python. I want to do a little notebook. I want to do a little this. I go through and take little exercises. So all you're going to do is I'm going to resume the course. I'm using ArcGIS 3.3, and I'm just going to go through and take it. Now, I've taken this lots of time. Phil and Daniel and Will, you guys might have already taken this course. Guess what you need to do for the exercise? Just submit it for me. Yeah, if you did, just submit it, just submit it. Or you could just like erase, Emery and just put your name in there. Just make sure Emery doesn't do the same, and make sure he does. But I like these courses because it gives a comprehensive look. Because me, I like making maps. I like making maps. I like playing with the colors. I also like manipulating the tables, but there's lots of other functionality in there, such as making measurements. How far is it from here to here? I don't do that. I'll do that in Google Earth. I don't care. I'll let the GIS do it for me. Making layers, which have their own symbologies attached to them, which aren't quite as robust as feature classes. Because what we're looking at right here are what we call feature classes. These things are called feature classes. So we have a feature class called major cities, one called counties, one called census tracts, one called zip codes. So we're able to look at those and play with those. So what we're going to do, you just go and download the data. It's in zip format. So this is why I kind of gave us a little zip exercise right here so we can do this. But you can see I've kind of went through and I haven't done much here. So, but you can see I've gone through and started this. There's lots of other GIS basics that you can do. Anything that interests you, you type in the word GIS basics. And there's lots of courses there. Getting started. Here's a learning plan. Exploring GIS maps. You want to take some of these web courses, putting your GIS skills to work. To me, you go and take these courses, it gives you a little certificate. So when you look at a job application and it says Python, what do you think you can do? Type in a little thing here that says Python and say, creating Python scripts, Python for everyone. Introduction to ArcGIS APIs for Pythons. Here's Python tips and tricks for ArcGIS. You can go and take these courses. So when your employer says, hey, do you have any Python experience? Yeah, I went and took the Python for everyone, Python 101, Python tips and tricks, and you can give them these things here. Because I'll go into one more diatribe here, is that a lot of times people come to me and say, I'm not getting a lot of interviews, but I have a student and he sat in data science class. He had 8 job interviews, like 8. You think he just happened to get lucky? No, he didn't get lucky. He did a lot of good things. Do you think for every job he submitted the same exact resume? Why not? Exactly, depends on the job. And one of the things that he did was he looked at the job description and he looked at the skills and he put those skills right into his resume. The first round of resumes, do you think an actual human being is looking at those resumes? No. Who's looking at them? Robots, AI, ML stuff. And I can say, hey, this guy has a lot of the matching keywords in his resume. If you submit the same thing over and over again, you might get a hit for one job, you might get a hit for another job, but it's not going to be catered specifically. And I asked him, what's the difference? Because I have some old, former students of mine saying, no, I can't get any jobs. And one of the things is working on your interpersonal skills, really, being able to look people in the eyes and all that other good stuff. And I think sometimes COVID has kind of set us back a little bit with those things. But other thing is, do you have a web experience? Do you have some videos that you've submitted? Do you have the training? Is your resume, do you have to build a whole new resume? No. You don't need to build a whole new resume, but when it says, we need APIs, yeah, put in the API. I took the 32-minute web course. Yeah, I took the 32-minute web course on APIs. Yeah, I can do APIs. If you get hired and I'm not really good at APIs, you're not going to fire me after a day. You're going to say, hey, you better learn how to do the APIs. Okay, application programming interfaces. Okay, and basically to make custom nice GUIs interfaces, because people like me don't want to run Python code behind the scenes. I want to just click a little button and the Python code run and I get results that you've written in the background. Okay. And so there's lots of things here, ticks and metadata. This is my big thing here. I type in metadata. Let's look at all the metadata. Editing and creating metadata, exploring and importing metadata in ArcGIS Pro. Here's a little video, preparing data for applications. The one thing about this is that, look at this, it is no longer supported. The one thing about metadata that I liked from our data science class is that this is all we got here. We have an instructor-led course, an obsolete course, and a 5-minute video. Like, you want to get good at metadata? Not a lot of work's been done on it. They've created all these tools which have been imported from the previous sets of tools, but really no training has been created. Who can go create the training? Daniel can, Will can. They're not going to pay you $50,000 a year to do it. They'll probably pay you a lot more than that, twice that, to go do that, and to create high quality training to do some of these things. And so when someone says, we're looking for someone who's good with metadata, there you are. And so Camille and Emery and Solomon, one of the things in this class I always like to say is, work smarter, don't work harder. You work hard, that's good, but work smart and work hard. It's kind of, not silly, but it's kind of coincidental that the same people get job offers, 8 interviews. Like, there's something going, he isn't lucky enough to get 8 interviews. This is what we want at the end of the day. So, how do you get those 8 interviews? All right, custom created prior work experience. If you've got some, how do you get prior work experience? Go get an internship. Get an internship with the NCDOT. Hey, if I was paying you for the summer, I was paying you for the summer, guess what? You had an internship with Mulrooney developing spatial data for meteorites. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. You had an internship. Okay, you have an internship with Dr. McGinn developing data for Texas stuff. Call it an internship, you know? If worse comes to worse, because it kind of is. You're getting paid. It was a graduate assistantship that you got paid. Okay, so this is, if Solomon's not going to promote himself, who else is? Oh, I'm a big self-promoter. You all sat in my class. You all know that. I love promoting Mulrooney. Okay. Like students are 1A, I'm real close 1B, real close 1B, but if you're not gonna promote yourself, no one else is. I get inspirational here, about this. Yeah. I really, Emily, so, but exercise, and I'll send an announcement later today, what we're doing here. Tomorrow, tomorrow we'll work on the tabular data and then bringing some of these things in, because you notice I hit that black plus sign right there. And even on this project, I hit that black plus sign and I set up the properties correctly. And my content, guess what I'm adding to this map right here? My GPS data that I went and collected for.
So it's class same back time, same back channel.
Yeah. And so look what I got right here. This is that data that I was collecting with little, circles right there using my GPS unit. And I can right mouse click, open attribute table. I got 207 points here and I can say, oh, okay, these first, I can see what time I collected them at, the fixed time. I can see what time I collected those at. I can extract out one versus the other versus the other versus the other and start to do some of this data development and export these things out. Okay. All right. Any other things I'm thinking of? I think everyone's bill, has everyone seen $700 on their bill yet? Check and make sure. Your dad will be real happy with me. But make sure Daniel got even more, so Dan is like looking like, did I just get 700? No, Daniel got a little. I just like him now. He's an out-of-state student, so I kind of hooked up those students a little more. But make sure credit's been applied to your bill. We were able to give about $700, not about exactly $700 left, so I know that might help Haven out if she's covering your stuff. Or if she covers the whole thing, just take it and go to the beach for the weekend. So, he can stay home by himself, right? Can his sister stay home by himself? Okay, all right, cool. They can just stay home by themselves and you guys cash the $700 and go to the beach and get an adult weekend away. So, all right, all kidding aside, so we got this exercise. Just intro to GIS basics, and then we'll come back here tomorrow and work on creating data using tables, and then we'll kind of get in the field on Wednesday. So see you all later. Yeah. So you like this stuff, Emery? It's kind of cool. You guys didn't have to wake up too early today, did you? Oh, prom, okay.
You're a lot of Latin teachers was like, oh, I don't understand any of the songs.
That's exactly what Emma came on to say.
It's like, I don't understand.
And I'm surprised because we
Right.
call him Buck.
Yeah.
He used to do a lot of central parties back in the day. I don't know why he chose the drummer and the shows.
So there was a prom for early college? Oh, cool.
Schools, but all of them, like all of the specialties.
Oh, cool. That's neat.
Yeah.
All right, David, you all set?
Hey, Dr. Mulrooney, I just had one question. I'm looking at it looks like my account balance for the class is showing that I still owe like $633.99.
I paid 700 though.
Okay,
Right.
so is the rest of this my balance to pay then?
Yes, it should be. Make sure it says I paid the 700.
Okay, let me see. Let me take a look up
Let
here.
me stop recording too.